morning, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to our this month's Data Protection in Practice webinar, themed under a very timely, I will say so myself, theme of DPO Excellence in a Complex Era. I am Loroto Pasidile, and I am your event lead here at the DPO Africa Network, the biggest DPO community for all who are practicing in Africa and beyond. It is quite important for me also to acknowledge the fact that today's session brings together a seasoned DPOs as well as privacy leaders who will share insights, experience, and practical insights of how then do we navigate our DPO role in such a complex era where we are not only navigating the regulatory changes when it comes to our respective data protection acts, but also taking into consideration innovation, artificial intelligence. So we are now going to have a jam-packed, and I do promise you for that one, we are going to have a very much jam-packed session for today, and you will also see from both our moderators as well as the speakers. But before we start, a quick reminder that for those who will be attending the entire live session throughout, you will be eligible to also claim a 1.5 IAP privacy education credit. So be sure to tune in till the end. And also, we will be sharing, our announcements throughout. So be sure to look out for those as well. Might I also add, as you can see from the chat, please do inform us or tell us where you are joining us from, so that we also connect. You may also are very much welcome to share your LinkedIn URL so that we also connect and we build, the platform and we foster a data protection culture across Africa as well as beyond. I also want to note that we have a course that is soon to be launched, and it is starting on the 28th of November, which is our data protection, AI governance, risk, and compliance course. We currently have it on demand, and it is launching on the 20th of November. You have heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a special for you, which is a 40% early bird discount. You will see the link on the chat as well. We have also recently published in the last week our Data Protection Officer Africa Digest, and that is a publication, featuring the latest insights and stories from data protection professionals across the continent. You will be able to see the link on the chat, and might I also use this opportunity to ask you, have you seen the digest from the last week, and what are your thoughts about it? Do you want us to engage more, and do you have any collaborations that you want to get in touch with us with? So be sure to look out for all the announcements that will be going on throughout the session. And with that being said, let me welcome on stage our amazing Irene Nagita, who is from Uganda, who will lead us for today's discussion. With that being said, let me welcome on stage Irene. Irene Nagita.
Thank you so much, Lorato.
Over to
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much for that warm introduction and welcome. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the October Data Protection in Practice webinar focused on DPO Excellence. Today we have a jam-packed session. We have 4 excellent speakers that are going to take us through a jam-packed discussion. And I would like to introduce them shortly. Josephine Nshuju is a licensed lawyer and certified data privacy professional with over a decade of experience in legal counsel, compliance, and risk management. She currently serves as a data protection representative at Volvo Group headquarters, where she supports global functions in ensuring privacy compliance and mitigating regulatory risks. Josephine is also the founder and director of the Tanzanian Privacy Professionals Association, where she leads efforts to strengthen governance, promote awareness, and support compliance in the region. Passionate about simplifying complex frameworks into practical strategies. She is dedicated to empowering organizations to navigate evolving privacy and data protection landscapes with confidence. Welcome, Josephine. We also have today with us Izuna Ikewete, with over 10 years of experience in both IT operations support, IT, GRC, governance, risk management and compliance, data privacy and protection and information security, as well as an extensive expertise in managing cybersecurity frameworks, risk mitigation, and incident response. Izuna is always excited about an opportunity to contribute to mentorships and innovative and security driven mission. Tawanda Chiunye, I hope I got that right, is a seasoned information security and data protection professional with over 15 years of experience driving cybersecurity strategies, governance, and regulatory compliance in the financial sector. As the principal data privacy and security at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, he leads initiatives that strengthen the institution's security posture and ensure compliance with the Cyber and Data Protection Act and GDPR, ensuring compliance with the and GDPR. A certified data protection officer and ISO 27001 lead implementer, um, project management practitioner, Tawanda is passionate about building privacy centric cultures through effective data governance, awareness, and regulatory alignment. His expertise spans data protection, impact assessments, incident response, vulnerability management, and strategic risk management. Tawanda also plays a pivotal role in promoting cyber resilience and privacy best practices within the banking ecosystem. He is an advocate for responsible data handling and the integration of privacy by design in digital transformation initiatives. I hope I got all that right. Thank you so much for joining us today, our panelists. We shall start off by having all the panelists talk to us in just a minute about themselves, introduce themselves to us and their work. Thank you. Let's start with Josephine.
Hello. I hope you
Hi.
can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'm trying to position my laptop in a nice way. Okay.
Mhm, mhm,
If I'll talk about myself in 1 minute. I think you've already introduced me and said pretty much everything. Uh,
mhm,
so yeah, I am Tanzanian.
mhm,
Born and raised in Tanzania. My background, I have a legal background. I studied law, but I've worked throughout my career. I was in corporate. I worked in the banking sector for 14 years before pivoting my career to data privacy. So when I relocated to Sweden, that's when I was introduced to data privacy. I had never heard about it before. I didn't even know it existed
mhm,
until I moved to Sweden and learned about the GDPR. Then I became extremely curious. And fun fact, actually, my mentor was on this webinar last month, Dr. Patricia. She's the one that opened my eyes. We went to the same university. So she opened my eyes to this area of data protection and data privacy. And that's how I pivoted my career to data privacy. And I've been practicing in this area since 2021 until now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We shall hear from Tawanda. Please tell us about yourself in a minute. I know you have a humongous bio, but please tell us a sneak peek into who you are. You are muted, Tawanda.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
guess
you.
my you've said a lot about myself, but when I got the request, I didn't know what to then say, so I had to write or to share with everyone what I do within my
Great.
day-to-day work at the Reserve Bank. But basically, with regards to cybersecurity, yeah, I've been in the cybersecurity um, lifespan, and I've been doing cybersecurity since 2005. But
Right.
then with the evolving landscape of cybersecurity and the digital space, you then tend to then develop yourself. And then we didn't have issues of the cyber with information security. And now that we've got the digital information and the and the things outside the digital information. So you then tend to blend. Then
Yeah.
of late, the with the inception of the Cyber and Data Protection Act in 2021, that's when they came the initiative for these organizations in Zimbabwe to then try to comply with the CDPA. So we
Right.
then pushed a compliance perspective. So I then got interested very much in the data protection, and here I am. I'm very pleased that sometime last month, but one Amaka had to push us to do the CIPP, and I was one of the candidates. I won't say out my results for now, but you'll see them later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tawanda. Thank you so much. I must say that a special honor to have today is Izuna Ikewete with us, recently featured on the cover of our quarterly digest, a recognition of his impactful contributions. We are excited to have you, Izuna. Please tell us about yourself, a sneak peek about who Izuna is. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. I'm glad, honored to be here on this session, and it's also great to meet great minds like Tawanda, Josephine. Just a brief. I just like Josephine, I never knew anything about data privacy and protection before the last 4 years. I spent my entire decade, 10 years, in IT operation, security, network administration, support, and so on until 4 years. And I was pushed, I would say I was pushed into data privacy and protection. And from there, I picked it up. I began to read. And today, yes, it has been an interesting journey for me because I don't only see data privacy and protection as just it's a partner, an organization partner, it's a business partner to an organization. It interacts with every aspect of an organization. So
Right.
that's just it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the sneak peek into who you are. Thank you for joining us. Um, we shall start off with each panelist talking to us about their opening topics in 3 minutes. I will start with Tawanda, driving cybersecurity and privacy by design in the financial sector, focusing on compliance and cultural transformation. Tawanda, if you are ready, please talk to us in 3 minutes about driving cybersecurity and privacy by design in the financial sector, focusing on compliance and cultural transformation. Tawanda, if you're there, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'd like to start by challenging a common perception. So cybersecurity and data privacy have too often been perceived as hindrances to progress and seen as risk-averse gatekeepers or a cost center of doing business. Hence, by focusing more on compliancy than innovation, this outdated view overlooks the potential, their potential as strategic partners in enabling trust, resilience, and growth. Hence, I believe we are in the midst of a fundamental paradigm shift. We are moving from an era where data protection was a reactive cost center to one where proactive privacy by design is a powerful strategic engine. So, with privacy by design, It is the key that unlocks customer loyalty, enables safe innovation, and builds the resilient financial system Africa needs. Our discussion today is about how we lead that shift within our own organizations. At its heart, the financial sector is highly regulated. So we are often forced into many of these requirements from a compliance perspective. However, I firmly believe that just because something is serious doesn't mean it can be relatable. At its heart, culture is all about behavior. And it is imperative that cyber risk leaders understand these behavioral dynamics that are absolutely critical in leading the fight against cybercrime. To truly achieve cyber security by design, there needs to be a fundamental paradigm and mindset shift, and there lies in the culture. In regions like Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Nigeria, where mobile financial services are widespread, there's a challenge. The challenge isn't about technical, it's cultural. Hence, there is need to build systems and mindset where privacy and security are proactive and not reactive. So, how then do we connect cybersecurity and privacy? We often see cybersecurity and privacy siloed, one seen as a technical and the other legal, but they are deeply intertwined, the two. Cybersecurity protects data from unauthorized access. Privacy governs why we collect data and how we use it. And then there's compliance. Compliance is the starting point. In Africa, we see the rise in data protection laws, with Tanzania with the PDPA, South Africa the POPIA, Nigeria the NDPR, Kenya the DPA, and Zimbabwe the CDPA. These laws provide scaffolding for privacy and cybersecurity, but compliance must evolve from a checkbox to a living system. And how then do we then achieve compliance? So we start with the low hanging fruit, which is embedding privacy impact assessment and security risk assessment into every new product. Then we also need to adopt standards like the ISO 27701 and the ISO 27701, which is the ISO 27001 is the ISMS, and the 27701, which is the PIMS, the Privacy Information Management Framework. So we also need to then adopt to the AI, where we've got frameworks like the ISO 42001, the AIMS, and the NIST Artificial Intelligence Risk Management Framework, which help link AI ethics to privacy and cybersecurity governance. There's also the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD AI principles, which also provide valuable building blocks for embedding privacy. Of late, just yesterday, sorry, of late, just yesterday, the Zimbabwean cabinet approved the national artificial intelligence strategy for the next 5 years, which is from 2026 to 2030, which outlines a landmark plan designed to position the country at the forefront of digital transformation and adherence to the CDPA. Then we also need to formulate incident response teams. And from with the example of Zimbabwe, we established a computer incident response team at a national level. But from a sectorial perspective, I suggest that with Zimbabwe, we need to come up with a banking or a financial incident response team, which will then dwell down to issues of threats and cyber issues with regards to the financial sector, then which will then feed into the national response team. This is where there's a bank, the Bank of Ghana also set up a certain a center like the sectorial one, where they set up a financial industry command security operations, which is FICSOC. The Bank of Ghana started working with the commercial banks as key external holders to create a secure cybersecurity environment in this financial sector. Then we also need to.
I have to cut you short. If you could just wrap up.
Okay, it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe to wrap up,
Mhm.
we need to have a culture whereby we need to embrace cybersecurity and
Mhm.
the privacy design in the financial sector, to
Mhm.
whereby it's not just technical or legal imperative, but it's a strategic necessity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tawanda. That's excellent. It's a humongous topic you had to delve into. I'm sorry I had to cut you short. We shall talk to Izuna about Izuna will talk to us about integrating IT operations, risk management, and data protection for robust privacy frameworks, mentorship as a tool for community empowerment. In 3 minutes, Izuna, I don't know if that's possible.
Okay, I will try. So I would say data privacy and protection is an embodiment of both IT operations and risk management and compliance. Because in data privacy and protection, from experience, I have seen you have that which speaks to the technicality. Have you implemented technical controls such as encryption? Have you implemented some access control mechanisms? All these are technical controls that speaks to core IT for data privacy and protection. Then coming to risk management, you begin to ask yourself, have you risk management and compliance? Have you deployed, just like Tawanda said, the DPIA, new projects coming in? Have you assessed the risk around it? Have you complied with your regulatory body? For Nigeria, we have the NDPC, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Have you signed off on your DPA? Have you done all these necessary risk management and compliance activities to
Right.
ensure you are on the right path for data privacy and protection? So, in summary, they
Mhm.
all interrelate, but we see data privacy and protection as a central tool. Then moving to the next one, mentorship as a tool for, I think, as a tool for community, right? For the
Yes,
community.
empowerment.
Yeah, empowerment is very, very important. That is how I will conclude it. Mentorship is very, very vital. While you have the community, you grow, you learn from each other. I have learned a number of things from Amaka, her experience from the
Right.
community she built, and a whole lot of persons. Now, mentorship comes in with respect to training, how
Mhm.
you get that proper guidance on your day to day activity. So
Great.
that's how I end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was that was perfect timing. From that complex overview of the space, we would like to hear from Josephine on the practical strategies to simplify privacy compliance and foster governance culture in emerging markets, drawing from leadership in Tanzania. In 3 minutes, Josephine. Thank
Okay, I will try.
you.
Okay, so first of all, when it comes to compliance with data privacy, there is a general there's a general fear that this is a new thing and it's complex, it's complicated, we don't know how to navigate it. And that's the challenge, at least in the from the experience that I have from Tanzania, that in translating the law, and also there's the language issue. Tanzanians speak mostly Swahili, but the first step is to simplify the framework. We already know that, like my colleagues have already spoken about the legal framework when it comes to data protection laws, like the PDPA in Tanzania. Yes, it's full of legal text. It's complicated, but in order to make it practical, to operationalize it, we need to be able to break down, to simplify the framework, and that means we need to break down the law into manageable sizes, taking section by section, starting with the principles and breaking those down to understand what do they mean in the context of the work that we do. Because again, with data protection laws, you find that different industries have different requirements. The law
Mhm.
is standard, the rules are standard, but
Mhm.
there are different ways you can apply depending on which industry you work from. So you will need to, first step is to simplify the framework according to the industry that you work
Right.
in. And then the second one is to build the governance structure around that. The governance structure is now, how do we translate these laws um, into a culture within the organization? So, for example, your HR policies, that's the easiest. Everybody knows about HR. Instead of thinking that you need to have completely new policies, you simply need to add a few clauses that refer to data protection law. And in that way, then the organization doesn't really need to do a major overhaul of the way they operate in order to bring in data protection. I think Tawanda mentioned this, that you need to embed it in the already existing structure of the organization, and that will make it easier for the for everybody to comply. And then the third thing that I can say, because it's 3 minutes, is
Mhm.
it's about capacity building. We
Right.
can never understate the importance of training. I think those my colleagues are from a technical background will tell you the weakest link is always us, the people, right? The people, we are always the weakest link. So training should come above everything else, because you can
Right.
never overtrain people when it
Mhm.
comes to not just data protection, but in every work. But because of the nature of the digital space that we now are constantly working, it's very important to have those training. So I guess quickly, that's how I can summarize this topic when it comes to having those practical
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Josephine. I read in your bio that you moved from Africa to Sweden. Tell us a little bit about that. Give us a snippet of how you would do something like that.
mm,
Yeah.
well, yeah, interesting story. I moved to Sweden actually because of my husband. My husband is Swedish, so it was not a career move.
Okay.
Um, but and I guess that's where I link it to how I pivoted my career to data privacy. When I moved to Sweden, I didn't know where to start really. I came here. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I have a legal background, and I have worked in the banking sector for 14 years. So my first default setting is I can work in any bank, because back home
Right.
I worked for international banks. So
Yeah.
I started looking for work in the banking sector because that's what I was used to. But it was
Mhm.
very difficult. If you know anything about Nordic countries, the first requirement is they want you to speak their language. So
Right.
if you can't speak professional proficiency Swedish, it's
Uh-huh.
difficult for you to work in the corporate sector. So
Right.
that became a hurdle. I
Mhm.
wouldn't say a blocker, it was a hurdle. Um,
Mhm.
so my plan B was, I'm going to learn the Swedish. I'm going to learn the
Right.
Swedish. I'm going to go to law school, and I'm going to
Mhm.
become a certified lawyer in Sweden. Uh,
Right.
but while I was pursuing that, then I started, then I caught up with Dr. Patricia. Um,
Mhm.
and being someone that is also from Tanzania, she was based in Germany. We are not so different. I asked for a meeting with her, and I said, let's. I want to know how you were able to penetrate the market in
Yeah.
Germany. I know you went there for your PhD and you work in the academia, but how did you do it? Because language is a barrier. It's a huge
Right.
barrier in this
Yeah.
area.
Mm.
So she asked me, I will never forget the question she asked me, is if I had studied a human rights law as an option um,
Mhm.
when I was doing my degree, and I said yes, I picked human rights law as an option. Then she said, well, then this will be very easy for you. So then
Right.
she started telling me about data protection law. I think we all know it emanates from human rights.
Right.
It's part of every country's constitution because of the UN Charter. So she
Mhm.
started giving me the history, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. And she said, if you have, again, it's a plus if you have a legal background. Anybody can work in data protection, but a legal background is a plus. So I built on that. I started doing my research on in
Mhm.
data protection, and I was very lucky that I think
Mhm.
within a week or 2 weeks of me having a conversation with her, there was an opening with KZ and privacy experts in UK. I think most people know Jamal Ahmed is from UK, is very
Yes.
on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
an internship opened with
Mhm.
Jamal, and he was selecting from, it doesn't matter where you were. So
Right.
that's how I made my CV in Europe. It started with Jamal,
Wow.
and
Wow.
he became my mentor, and he's the one that offered me my first CIPPE certification. And
Right.
as they say, the rest is history. Then from there, doors opened in Sweden. And
Excellent. You have such an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing.
yeah,
Thank
sure.
you so
No,
much. That's
yeah,
really inspirational.
yeah.
We shall now delve into our next theme, which is defining excellence in the DPO role. I will start, I will actually go to you again,
Yes.
Josephine.
Okay.
I'm sorry for picking on you today, but
It's all right.
well, you're excellent. So let's start by exploring what excellence means today for DPOs operating in Africa's diverse data protection environments.
Mm,
Josephine, from a governance perspective, how
mm,
do you simplify complex frameworks so that organizations can act confidently and compliantly? Because usually people don't really understand what you're talking about when you come to them, talking to them about data protection and everything. So, how do you simplify these complex frameworks so that people can go about their work confidently and, and
mm.
end up complying?
Okay. Yeah, it's
This time I'll give
I,
you 4
how,
minutes,
how,
maybe.
you're giving me 1 minute.
No, no,
Okay.
no. I said four.
Oh, 4 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, I was like, 1 minute. What do I say in 1 minute?
No,
Um,
no.
okay. Thank you. This is in my area of everyday life, actually. And what I can say is, first of all, I would like to rephrase the word simplify, because some
Right,
people might think simplifying means non-compliance, taking shortcuts, cutting the rules.
right.
I
Yeah.
would I would I would rather use, how do we make it achievable? How do we
Okay.
make privacy compliance achievable in the
Right.
organization?
Mhm.
Now, I know data privacy is a topic that started from the West, and now Africa is catching up.
Mhm.
Um, so there's this perception that it's going to be very expensive and costly for companies, especially for SMEs in Africa. International companies can afford it. It's very complicated, but
Mm.
drawing experience from Tanzania, and this is through TPPA. What I can say is, for organizations in the emerging market, is again to look at what they already have within the organization. For example, IT policies, cybersecurity, those are not new topics. They've always been there. And like Tawanda said, there's already an intersection between
Mhm.
cybersecurity and data privacy, right? So what organization can do before jumping into to see what is in the market in terms of tools, compliance tools. There are many compliance tools like OneTrust and other organizations that could be too expensive. They could look at what they have. For example, to do your data mapping, is you can do that on an Excel sheet. You don't need to buy a tool. So
Right.
for those that are still new, data mapping is where you go through the organization to identify all sources of personal data, all the
Mhm.
departments that are using personal data. At what point is this data coming in from? Are we collecting data when a customer comes to buy a product from us? Are we collecting data when we are hiring a new employee into the organization? So
Right.
that is how you map your data. And then from the time it's collected, where does it go? Which is the next department that uses this data, and so forth and so forth. You can literally do that through an Excel, an Excel sheet. Or alternatively, if you have a team in the organization that can create a tool, then they can do that internally, and therefore companies save costs. Um,
Mhm.
Another thing is automation. They can use the same existing system within the organization to automate some of the processes. For example, what I'm saying, when it comes to privacy compliance, how
Mhm.
do you manage consent? How do you handle data subjects' rights? All that can be done by leveraging what is already within the organization before we
Right.
look at what is in the market, which could be costly. And again, the last thing is to have bit size, like bite-sized trainings. Um,
Mhm.
and this is where, instead of trying, let's say, to take the PDPA, that's the Tanzanian law, and then compress that and turn that into a training and try to,
Mhm.
jam it into people's brains, what the organization can do is to cut those into smaller topics. So let's say you take sections that are relevant to the marketing team, you
Right.
combine that with existing marketing training, and then that way you now say, okay, in the marketing campaign, if we are going to be collecting people's details because we want to reach out to them later to sell them our product, this is how
Mhm.
we should now be doing it. So that's
Okay.
how you can operationalize data
Mhm.
privacy and start to ease it in slowly, in a way that people don't feel intimidated like how they are now. A lot of companies are intimidated because they don't know where to start.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe to add on to that, is there any way that your legal background has influenced, or influences excellence in your role, especially in addressing emerging tech complexities like AI?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
Please tell us about it.
it played a huge role. It played
Okay.
a huge role because, one, all the data all the data protection laws around the world, be it the PDPA, the GDPR, they are legal text. So
Yeah.
that is already an unfair
Right.
advantage compared to somebody that doesn't have the same background as me.
Right.
I have an easier time understanding what the law wants.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, not just my legal background, but also because I worked in the corporate sector throughout my
Right.
career since graduating, pretty much. Um,
Right.
over the years, I have learned how to translate laws into practical principles. How
Mm-hmm.
can the organization turn this? How can I sit and speak to someone that does not have a legal background and understand what I'm saying? That is a training that I did not get while I was learning studying for my law. Because when you're studying for your law, you are being prepared to be an advocate, to go to court and be more complicated and complex.
Yeah.
But when you move to the corporate world, then you have to
Right.
speak to people from different functions. You have to speak to HR,
Absolutely.
you have to speak to marketing, you have to speak to the
Mm-hmm.
technical teams that don't
Mm-hmm.
understand, or thou, thee, whatever those kind of words that we use
Yeah.
in the legal text. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel privileged that my legal background and my experience in the corporate world has helped me to be the bridge,
Right.
to build that bridge, that when, even though I'm reading a legal text, I should be
Mm-hmm.
able to translate it to somebody else. But another thing that I learned from Jamal, um,
Mm-hmm.
he said, and I would want to pass this on to the audience. He said,
Right.
if you cannot explain it to a 6-year-old,
Right.
then you have failed. So if you're, for example, if your privacy notice, if you can't
Mm-hmm.
explain what your privacy notice is saying
Mm-hmm.
to a 6-year-old, then you
Yeah.
have. So that also has helped me to constantly, when I'm preparing training materials or similar text,
Yeah.
I ask myself, okay, put the legal mind aside. Can a
Mm-hmm.
6-year-old understand what I'm saying? And then,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll take you off the spot for a while now.
Thank you.
Give you some time to breathe. We're going to go to our next theme, navigating challenges and building resilience. The journey isn't without obstacles. I'm sure every one of us knows that. Let's now delve into discussing some of the toughest challenges you've faced and how you've navigated them. I'll start with Izuna. Given your cross functional experience, how do you foster collaboration between IT, risk, and privacy teams to manage evolving threats?
Okay. So, you know, The question you just asked is just a bit of what Josephine has just explained earlier. Her last
Lucky
words.
you.
Yeah, yeah. She has. She really did a good work with it. But just to
Yeah.
add to it, I would say first we need to understand that the technology team, IT, they are more of let's build, let's create. So their mindset is not with compliance, risk
Mm-hmm.
management. You come to them, we need an application that should do ABC, and they just give you it that should do ABC.
Yeah.
Now, the data privacy and protection team, which is an enabler, it's a business enabler, comes into play now, begins to point out, oh, this innovation, this technology, there will be a sharing of data, there will be
Mm-hmm.
processing of data. We would have this, and that to do with data, storage. Now, how do we ensure we comply? Just like Josephina said, when we collect this information, the sales and marketing team, you've built for them an automated system to sell, to collect information. Have you
Right.
ensured compliance to consent, the basic
Right.
law, lawful
Right.
basic?
Mm-hmm.
Consent, what are the legal obligations? What are is it a contract agreement? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
legitimate interest? All these
Mm-hmm.
are what we need to identify. And this is what the data privacy and protection brings into play. It
Mm-hmm.
ensures the evolving threats
Mm-hmm.
and so on, vulnerabilities, we close them out. We ensure they are properly closed,
Mm-hmm.
they are properly mitigated. When we share information, are there need for encryption? Are there
Mm-hmm.
need for whatever you need to access controls? All these are
Right.
what data privacy and protection brings into place. And the data privacy and protection brings
Mm-hmm.
along with it risk management and
Mm-hmm.
compliance.
Yeah.
Just as Josephine has said,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the technical aspect is also an unfair advantage because as a data privacy and protection officer, you need to speak
Right.
technical terms.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand the jargons the IT team, technology team are pushing to you. You
Mm-hmm.
also need to also sit in that position of a risk manager,
Yeah.
a compliance officer,
Mm-hmm.
also above all, a teacher, just as Josephine has said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ensure you break down every of these lawful documented processes to
Right.
every, because the IT team do not understand legal terms. They
Yeah.
don't understand it. So you need to break it down for them. So
Absolutely.
in all this, um, the data privacy and protection officer plays a lot of role to ensure
Yes.
business is enabled properly and
Right.
mitigates all threats that could
Mm-hmm.
involve all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Izuna. Thank you so much for that elaborate explanation. I will go to Tawanda. Tawanda, balancing data protection regulations and operational demands is tough. How do you embed privacy by design while ensuring regulatory alignment in banking?
Thank you very much.
This time I'll
Um,
give you 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I guess this is a $1 million question,
Yeah.
and um, we all agree. And I guess the tension between the regulation and the operation is on what of the regulation and how the operation is um, is the main key problem, which is grappling all banks in Africa. So I believe the key isn't just to balance them, but to integrate them so that there is a robust data protection, which then will enable safer and more efficient operations. So with the mindset shift, we need um, what we need is to see privacy. Um, we need to see privacy. Uh, we need not to see privacy as a compliance cost, but as a design principle, which will then build trust and sustainable financial services. So for me, it boils down to the legal framework, whereby privacy is a constitutional right, a constitutional and human right, and these rights must be upheld in various laws around the world. So,
Right.
since we are a regulator, the central bank, our Reserve Bank was established through an act. So,
Mhm.
um, uh, was established through an act of law. So, laws are by the people and for the people. So, to
Mhm.
protect the interest of the common good, it is imperative in finding balance that practitioners are clear on the intersect between privacy and financial obligations.
Right.
So that's where we get those the legitimate test, whereby we need to implement them with regards to the legal basis for processing personal identifiable information,
Yeah.
thereby creating a cornerstone in achieving this balance. So
Mhm.
so we then need to then say uh, privacy should be a design principle, not
Mhm.
a compliance task. So the journey isn't without obstacles, like what you're saying. So in
Mhm.
banking, we are constantly navigating between regulatory expectations, customer experience, and operational efficiency. So embedding privacy by design while staying compliant requires a shift in mindset from
Right.
reactive compliance to proactive governance. So, from a data privacy perspective, achieving this balance between those two, there is need to focus on the three pillars, which is governance,
Mhm.
technology, culture. So,
Mhm.
governance, with governance, we need to focus on from reactive checklists to proactive frameworks.
Mhm.
Firstly, we need to move beyond treating regulations like a static checklist, um,
Mhm.
uh, which is in these laws like the PDPA, POPIA, and so. Um, and also, these laws, they do not then provide the flow. They do not provide the ceiling, but the flow. So the
Yeah.
operation we here is to build a unified governance framework instead of having separate silos for cybersecurity, legal, operations. We must adopt integrated standards like the ISO, the
Mhm.
NIST, the AI. So by embedding by adopting to this, we create a common language and a single set of controls. So with regards to technology,
Mhm.
we need to leverage on the privacy enhancing technologies. This is the second pillar, whereby we use smart technology to solve operational constraints. The
Mhm.
biggest challenge here is often legal systems that were built with privacy in mind. Retrofitting them can be a nightmare, and it becomes very expensive. But we don't have to rebuild everything from scratch. We can use privacy enhancing tools as a strategic overlay. So this is where we implement the tokenization, field level encryption, and the anonymization for analytics. Then, so this technology will then allow us to protect data by default without bringing complex critical
Mhm.
operations to a halt. They are technical embodiment of the privacy by design. Then the third one, which is culture. This is the human file and the strategic advantage. It is the most critical pillar. We can have the
Mhm.
best frameworks and technology, but if our people see privacy as the DPO's problem, it will always
Mhm.
be. So with the cultural transformation,
Mhm.
right? We need to make privacy everyone's business. So we start from the top, which is the leadership, executive buy-in. The
Mhm.
leadership sets the tone. When executive consistently message the data protection is about customer trust and brand reputation, this
Mhm.
will then become a strategic priority. And
Mhm.
also, there's a point which was mentioned by Josephine, which was then to make our trainings whereby we don't really bundle the data protection laws and frameworks to train everyone. We then tailor make it to the AI ethics for the data scientists, then the
Mhm.
breach simulation for those guys in the IT ops, and then which are simpler and clear guidelines for. And then you also create those the simpler and clear guidelines for frontline staff handling customer queries. Then
Right.
you also need to then create privacy champions. This we have implemented it within our organization, whereby we have currently created the private champion in each department. So
Mhm.
this is someone who liaises with the data protection officer. This creates an incredible ownership and accountability at the ground level. So in conclusion, to achieving this balance is tough, but
Mhm.
it's the new frontier of competitive advantage in African banking. So the
Mhm.
banks that successfully embed privacy by design will be the ones that will avoid catastrophic breaches and reputational damage, build
Mhm.
deeper and trusted based customer relationship, and
Mhm.
innovate with confidence because they've built safety into their DNA. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Tawanda. That is so deep. Thank you so much. Um, Tawanda and Izuna, you have engaged with our courses and community, and you've supported, and therefore we would like to know what role does community and networks like DPO Africa play in overcoming these challenges that that we have highlighted up here? And how has engagement with our courses and community supported your work? We shall start with Izuna and give Tawanda time to breathe. In 2 minutes, Izu, if you can just tell us what role does community and networks like DPO Africa play in overcoming these challenges, and how has engaging with our courses and community supported your work?
Okay. First and foremost, I must appreciate the community, DPO Africa, for the great work it is doing through Amaka. Well done, well commended, because the DPO practitioner course has really enlightened my mind. Like Tawanda said, it's a shift of culture, mindset. So I have engaged that course and I've gotten a different shift with respect to doing things, getting things achieved, ensuring the culture is lived by me first. I live the culture and extend it to others. So the community is where you learn and grow. You hear from other experience, and the course also is very, very practical. During the course, we had a lot of practical scenarios, real life scenarios where we could deliberate upon. It's not somebody coming to read out slides. No, we discuss, we share ideas. How does it happen in Nigeria? How does it happen in Tanzania? How does it happen in Mauritius? And so on. This expands your mind to how a data protection officer could make his or her life much, much easier and smoother.
Right.
Then, please remind me the second question.
How has engaging with our courses and
The
community
second
supported your
question.
work? The second question is, how
Okay,
has engagement with our
the
courses and community supported your work?
yes, it has supported my work 101%. Um, because you know, I with the course I have come to learn that you don't go to the top management seeking for money. No, let them see why you should not be called a cost center. Um, Data privacy and protection requires money to implement, requires a budget to implement, but make the organization, the top management understand that this is not just a checklist, but a culture we need to imbibe in every aspect of the organization to one, project trust. Just as Tawanda has said, we to project trust to stakeholders? How do we ensure they continue to do business with us? We retain our profits because if we go sanction, we would pay. For Nigeria, is ranging about hundreds of millions.
I don't know if Tawanda is still. I
So
don't know if Izu. I think we lost Izu. I think we lost Izu. As Izu comes back online, I would like to engage Tawanda and Josephine um, on the same question while we wait for Izu to return. Maybe in 2 minutes, you could tell us, Tawanda, how what role community and networks like DPO Africa play in overcoming these challenges, and whether there's been how has engagement with our courses and community supported your work.
Okay.
Tawanda.
So thank you very much. I think most of the stuff was addressed by Izu, but I guess I have to start with the second question. So I went to this engagement, and the one of the guys then said, "Your network is your net worth." So, with regards to the DPO, I think I've managed to make a lot of networks with
Yeah,
Amaka, Melissa, Irene. There were some guys that we were in the same group in our CIPP course. So I guess it's one of the things which then encouraged us from a personal perspective, whereby you need to then improve yourself with regards to education and so. But then with regards to then the improvement and how it has changed my day-to-day working, I think when I finished the DPO courses, I went then to update my bosses. So they then advised me that I think you are supposed to be focusing more on the data protection of the organization. So I had to leave all my, not to leave per se, but to focus on the data protection, and then put aside the cybersecurity and other stuff which I've been doing for the past 15 years. So I guess it has then changed my focus from from the from the cybersecurity and so to the other protection. So I'm
yeah.
still trying to fit into the data protection, but I find it as a good career path, and I hope to learn a lot. And I've noticed that in most of the in the guys in the network that I have, most are lawyers. So I was thinking maybe if I can start my law degree, I hope it's not too late. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tawanda. Thank you so much. Josephine, I'm back to you. I will ask you the first part of the question. What
Mm.
role does community and networks like DPO Africa play in overcoming the above obstacles and challenges that we've been talking about, according to you?
Mm. Okay. Unfortunately, I haven't delved deep in DPR Africa. I know the work that you do, and I've
Mhm.
seen it, but my experience is from TPPA, um,
Okay.
and that is because I guess my whole story explains the importance of
Mhm.
networking in overcoming challenges and finding your path, pretty much. And that
Mhm.
is because I think by now all the participants have heard I'm located in Sweden, and yet I'm the founder of TPPA, which is an association
Yeah.
registered and operating in Tanzania. And I wasn't there when it was
Mhm.
when everything that is being done on the ground, nothing
Mhm.
is being done in Sweden.
Right.
And that is the power of networking.
Yeah.
TPPA was birthed on LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
the precursor of TPPA actually is APLA. If you go through my profile, you'll see that the dream started with APLA, and that was when I met Ixtel on LinkedIn. I have huge respect for LinkedIn. Um, I met her on LinkedIn and we connected, and then we talked about APLA. Unfortunately, with APLA, we were so scattered. We didn't have a home base in Africa, and we wanted it to be about Africa. So it became very difficult for us to take it to where we wanted it to be. And plan B was okay, actually, plan B or plan C, because one of the founders of APLA at the time was also Mugambi from Kenya. And
Mhm.
Mugabe then went to start the Data Governance Society of Kenya. And then I called him and I said, okay, you made this happen in Kenya. I want to make
Mhm.
something similar happen in Tanzania. So,
Great.
and that's how TPPA came about. And through the community, the association, I see people, having the confidence to pursue path that initially they were scared to pursue, and that meaning to enter into the data privacy space and AI. Um,
Mhm.
we get to share and learn available opportunities, not just work, but also study opportunities, education
Mhm.
opportunities. And I'm happy that DPO Africa has all these courses that are relevant for Africans and affordable, because the IAPP exams are very expensive. A lot of people in Africa can't afford them unless their organizations are paying for them. So I'm sure we'll be more than happy to direct our TPPA members to sign up for those, for those trainings, to be able to get, because we are not yet providing any trainings. We have just
Yeah.
given people a community to meet and to discuss challenges that are relevant to Tanzania. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Just to remind you all, DPO Africa Network is a data protection officers network for Africans globally. We seek to bring DPOs in Africa together to skill them to global levels, and also I would like to encourage everyone, if you're not yet a member, join on LinkedIn. You can join our network. We need leaders. We need more networks. We need more connections. Please don't fail to join in. Come and be part of this you know, great movement. If you have any questions, send an email to info@dpoafrica.net. We shall have answers for you. Again, the email is info@dpoafrica.net. Our final theme is opportunities and the future of data protection in Africa. Looking ahead, what are the most exciting opportunities for DPOs, and how can they prepare to lead in increasingly complex landscapes? I will start with Josephine. With a huge focus on AI empowered technologies, what emerging trends should DPOs be ready to address?
Um, okay. Though disclaimer, my current role, I have not really delved into AI, but it's coming, and it's already here. It's not coming, it's already here.
Yeah.
And I feel for my colleagues back in Africa, because we are barely into operationalizing our data protection laws, and AI is coming at us at full speed. And I think we all know this terminology that law is always doing catch up when it comes to technology. Unfortunately, the technology is already here. So for us that are already working in the data privacy space, what we need to look out for most importantly is AI governance and accountability. And this is because we already have AI systems embedded in our HR systems, our marketing, our finance. They already have AI capabilities in them. So the businesses are somehow already using AI, but there's a gap when it comes to accountability. So as DPO, people should be prepared, first of all, to define the AI governance frameworks, like, for example, who owns this capabilities, who approves, who is monitoring what. And that is because what I've seen is that there is now a natural shift where DPOs are already expected to also be AI practitioners, and this is because there's a close link between artificial intelligence and data privacy. So DPO should be prepared that most organizations are likely not to going to hire an AI expert, but rather put this on the DPOs to take on. So they need to be prepared to work on the governance structure for the AI systems. They also need to be prepared to conduct AI impact assessments, the human rights impact assessments. They need to be able to ensure that there's transparency and explainability in how these AI systems are making decisions, especially when it comes to automation, right? Automated decision making, especially in the hiring processes. We hear a lot now that companies are using AI to filter CVs, right, and interview people. So they should be ready to answer those questions when regulators come in. And then there's also a shift that we are seeing, and that is from lawful processing to ethical accountability. When we talk of AI, there's already of, is it ethical? Is it, it's no longer, is it just lawful? So to give context and an example, when we say lawful processing in data protection, right? Um, like we know, at least from a GDPR perspective, data that is publicly available, right? It is lawful to use that data because the owner of the data has made it publicly available, right? And we know that AI systems are trained on large scales of data. There's a lot of data that is collected in order to train AI. Now the
Right.
question we need to answer, is it ethical that even though I made my data public, is it ethical for an organization to take my data from my social media, use that to train AI that could potentially be used as a social scoring AI, or
Right.
it's going to be used for facial recognition in
Right.
the future? So
Mm.
we now have to balance between lawfulness and ethical. It could be lawful, but it's not ethical. So those are
Right.
some of the questions that DPO should be prepared to answer. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what I can say when it
Thank you
comes.
so much, Josephine. On that note, I would like to remind everybody on the call on this webinar that we have an AI governance course coming up November 20th. There is a 50% off if you register early for the early bird on 20th when it launches. So please look out for it, get in there and register for it. Now I'll go to Izuna. I hope he's back. Yes, he is. Izuna, can you share your thoughts on mentorship and community as pillars for growing a strong future for privacy professionals in Africa? Um, please share your thoughts in 2 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So in 2 minutes, I would say that mentorship and community is, will I say, is the foundation. Considering the data privacy and protection space is all looking like a new invention, I would say in Africa. So
Yeah.
you need somebody to guide you. You need a community to ask questions and you are directed. For me, as far back as when I started, that was 4 years ago, I never knew anything. I was just in the IT space. I was an IT manager, and I just came into the management meeting. And they were like, "Izuna, yeah, we got this from our auditors, external auditors. We need to start data privacy." And I was like, "How? How do I do that?" So, but with respect to mentorship, I began to ask questions. I began to join mentorship sessions and I learned. Then coming again today, as at today, we have DPO Africa, which already has a good structure and foundation where you have a lot of professionals in it. So it's not something you can bargain. You need it if you're starting. because it's very wide. You have where you have the legal aspects, you have the
Yeah.
risk management, you have the compliance, and you have the aspect that needs to do with technical knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all encompassing. So it's very, very important and vital. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Izu. Tawanda, finally, from operational and strategic viewpoints, where do you see the biggest growth areas in data protection? Tawanda, are you there?
Okay. Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yes. Thank you. I think from a banking setup perspective, I think customers are drawn from to certain banks by a range of factors, including reputation, relations, and uniqueness. So the way a bank handles privacy becomes another critical factor to consider. So still
Mm-hmm.
on strategy, then with regard to strategy, embedded privacy early in business processing engineering can lead to a significant cost rather than trying to build in privacy later. So we then need then to include issues of AI and so. So data protection must not be viewed as another hurdle, but rather a new pair of eyes
Yeah,
focusing on progressive improvement. So
right.
coupled together with the fast-paced adoption of artificial in AI, effective data protection can streamline and improve operations for all stakeholders. So, with on the operational growth areas, most banks are trying to implement AI so that they can have AI-driven threat detection and responses. So, banks are increasingly using AI and machine learning to detect anomalies, automate breach responses, and reduce false positive. So this is critical as cyber attacks become more sophisticated and frequent. So,
Right.
for example, there are most banks in Zimbabwe. They are deploying AI to monitor unusual logins patterns
Mm-hmm.
across its mobile banking platforms, flagging potential fraud before it escalates. And also, as many banks are migrating to the cloud services, so as they migrate to hybrid cloud environments, there's need to secure data across the data on-prem and the cloud systems. Hence, there's growth in the cloud native security tools, and
Mm-hmm.
also there's need for uh, data classification and encryption. Also, with the development of secure APIs for fintech integration, and also with the advent of AI, we have seen a lot of banks are also operationalizing the and investing in tools that automate the consent tracking, which was mentioned by Josephine, and
Mm-hmm.
also the data access requests, the data subject access request, and also the retention and deletion of policies. And with regards to the strategic growth areas, there's need for embedding privacy into digital transformation, since the
Mm-hmm.
digital transformation is the inking, and therefore privacy is becoming a strategic differentiator. Hence, banks are embedding privacy into the product design, customer
Right.
experience, and the
Right.
AI model governance. So I
Right.
guess not sure this is what I can
Thank
say.
you. Thank you, Tawanda. Thank you so much for such a wonderful, deep conversation that we have had. I would like to hear your final 1 minute final word to us as we close. We shall start with you, Josephine. 1 minute. Let us wrap up. Give us your thoughts, your final thoughts.
Okay. My final thoughts. I was reading in the comment sections, and people were. I want to say thank you to everyone that applauded us, for for the progress that we have made in less than 5 years. From where we were to where we are now. So. To conclude, I would like to encourage everybody that is on this journey that they will never regret it, because I mean we can clearly see where the world is heading right now. So
Mhm.
they've made the right choice. And I would also conclude with what I heard. I think it was in a training session last week, that people should not fear AI. People should fear people that know how to use AI, because those are the people that will replace you. So along with their journey in pursuing, knowledge in data protection, they should also add knowledge in, AI, because we cannot avoid it. It's already here, and we don't want to be replaced by those that know how to use AI and how to govern it, and how to, and how to do the compliance around AI. So yeah, I wish everybody good luck, and thank you so much for having me on this panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tawanda, your final words, and Izu finally. Tawanda, 1 minute. Izu, 1 minute. So we can wrap up and hand back over to Lorato.
Thank you. I think I don't have much to say. I think we just need to focus on um, driving cybersecurity in whatever we do with regards to the data protection, and especially focusing in the financial sector. And it's not about meeting regulatory requirements, but it's
Right.
about building resilient system, fostering trust, and creating a culture of accountability. So I think with regards to the cybersecurity, you would not want a situation whereby maybe you are the chief information security, and then tomorrow there is a big statement which says that the Reserve Bank has been attacked due to threats. So it will be dampening. So I think I'll advise maybe everyone to treat data protection or securing in everything that you do, be it at work or at home, and also try to embed operations in privacy to be part of an organizational DNA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tawanda. Izu, are you there? Izuna, your final words in 1 minute.
Okay, data privacy and protection is very interesting. It's lucrative. It's beautiful. It keeps you on your toes to continue to learn because
Right.
you need um, three strong abilities. That is the ability of a lawyer, of a technological personnel, and also a risk and compliance officer. So it
Right.
makes you a superhuman being. That is why we are business enablers. And one, one place you can get it is on DPO Africa. It's awesome. You can get it here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our panelists. I would like to highlight that at the heart of the DPO Africa Network is our shared commitment to community and continuous learning, because advancing data protection excellence across Africa depends on collective growth, shared knowledge, and supporting one another as we navigate an evolving digital landscape together. It was an honor moderating this amazing session. Thank you so much. I'd like to hand over to Lorato now. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I did earlier when the session started promise everyone that this is going to be an insightful, jam-packed, as well as impactful, discussion around how do we then navigate the protection in such a complex, environment where we are not dealing with interpreting the sections or the provisions of our respective acts, but also navigating even the advancing technology that is advancing at a very rapid rate. So I loved, what our panelists mentioned, and I also love the fact that you as our audience, you were also able to get some insights and also appreciated, the knowledge and the wisdom that, our fellow panelists brought for today's discussion. And with that being said, I wanted to just highlight a key, some of the points that they also noted, which I found very much important, and which I found that it's very opportune that we also note. They mentioned that we should always remember that data protection is not a hurdle. It is an opportunity to build trust, an opportunity to lead with integrity, as well as to make a real difference in the organizations that we are representing. For we live in an era where data is our currency, and reputation for an organization is currency. And as we continue to navigate, like Josephine mentioned, as we continue to navigate the world of technology, do not fear AI, but fear the people who know how to use AI. What this means for us as data protection officers, be it within the region of Africa or beyond, it means that we should now capacitate ourselves. Let's go above and beyond learning the act, and let's get into the sector as well. But before we close, here are some of the few important announcements which I found very much apposite that we also reiterate them once more. I also wanted to note as well, but also as I make these announcements, please take a look at our chat, for that is where the links will be posted. I want to also mention, as our moderator did mention earlier, that our AR governance, risk and compliance course launches on the 20th of November and is currently available at a 50% early bird discount. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, at a 50% early bird discount. So make sure that you sign up for our course and register so that you can also get more insights, for we look forward to also having you in the space as well. And also a kind reminder, do not forget to check out our DPO Africa Digest, which is our monthly publication featuring insights, interviews, as well as stories from data protection leaders across Africa. And we've just published one just in the last week. Make sure you also check it out. If you have any contributions, if you have any comments regarding that, make sure you also email us on the email that has been pasted on the chat as well. But looking ahead, what do we have in store for you? At DPO Africa Network, our main mandate is to push forward and foster dialogues surrounding data protection and privacy in Africa. So join us as well in the next month for a real talk with the regulators now, where we welcome regulators for an open discussion. It will be on the 3rd, the Wednesday of the next month, which is the November 19th. So the same time as today. So let's make sure that we look out for, the announcements that we are able to sign up and we are part of the discussion. And also might I add as well, you can access our resources as well as all the registration links for our courses at a link to be provided at a dpoafrica.net .store. And we also will share links in the chat for your convenience. On behalf of the Data Protection in Practice, webinar for today, allow me to say to my team as well, thank you so much for putting together such an insightful conversation and discussion. And to our fellow moderator, as well as our panel, you have been amazing. It has been such an amazing discussion, not only, learning about, what the acts or our respective acts, how have they been implemented, but also learning that we have to go above and beyond, and let's learn more outside just interpreting the provisions. So let's keep leading with excellence, let's stay inspired, and let's continue making an impact. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, November 19th, make sure you remember the date. Allow us to also let you go and have a wonderful day wherever you are. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.